Joe, this was supposed to be the biggest year ever for concerts and live events. Now it is entirely shut down. When do you expect the concert and live event business to start up again?
Yeah, that is the question that everybody asks. And unfortunately, as you listen to everybody, that's actually the question that can't be answered right now. It can't be answered because so much of it depends on what everybody does over the coming month, the effectiveness of our continued social distancing, how we develop the testing, what we put in place for tracing, what we get in place for treatment. I think all of that will determine over the next several months when it is we can start to have concerts again. We look at this on two different time horizons. One is a year from now, 15 months from now, as we have the vaccine in place. We're highly confident that concerts will be 2021, 2022 will be bigger than ever. The artists want to perform. The fans want to attend the shows. We're very comfortable, very confident that as we get through this, we'll be able to get back to the normal of being able to go to the shows thanks to the vaccine and the treatment. The question is over the next year, when are the shows going to happen? Where are they going to happen? We're a global company. We operate in 40 countries. So we're dealing not just with the situation here in the U.S., but throughout Europe, throughout Asia. Every market's going to be different in terms of the pace that it opens. Our view is we listen to the facts and we listen to the scientists. What they tell us, certainly right now, people feel good that this is starting to hit the apex, but that means we've got a long ways to go with the continued activities around the social distancing and the watching our behavior to make sure that we can get to a point where it is safe to be gathering. And we need to take more short-term efforts in order to get to that over the next several months. So we're planning, we'll go for the next handful of months, certainly without concerts. We've done some things where we've announced recently in terms of shoring up our balance sheet that gives us confidence we can go through as long as we need to over the coming year without doing concerts. And we'll be able to continue to then do so as we come out of it.
But Joe, I want to talk more about consumer behavior on the other end of this. But just in terms of your own finances, I know yesterday you secured an additional up to $150 million in financing. But let's say concerts don't resume for 18 months until there's a vaccine. Do you have enough resources to survive until then for a full 18 months? Yes.
We have $1 billion of cash. We have roughly $1 billion of untapped debt. We have another $2 billion of liquidity that we can access. So about $4 billion in total that we can access. We have a run rate of just over $2 billion a year, a couple $100 million a month. So and that's before the cost cutting initiatives that we put in place. We announced cost cutting initiatives aimed at taking out about $500 million over the remainder of this year. So between that liquidity, those cost reduction efforts, what we're doing to conserve cash now, we absolutely believe that we can get through to a point, even if we do no concerts over the next 6 months, 9 months, going into next year, that we'll be able to get through to that point.
And Joe, how do you address concerns that Live Nation could breach its debt to earnings ratio covenant on loans worth $1.85 billion? Is that a concern?
Yeah, we just went through an effort, and the banks understand as we talk through with them that Q2 and Q3 of this year are not representative of our business. And so they've been eliminated from our covenant analysis. So we've gotten clarity on that. We feel comfortable that for the next 6 months, no shows at all happen. We will not have any covenant issues. Over longer term than that, we'll worry about it when it gets to that point. But I think the general behavior and focus of the banks has been if you have the liquidity, they work with you and they get it sorted out. So our focus is much more on the liquidity than on the technical of the bank covenants, and I think we're in a very good position.
Now, Joe, you mentioned that you believe there will be a lot of pent-up demand, but there's also a question about whether consumers will be concerned about going to crowded places into these venues, even if there is a vaccine. Don't you think there's a possibility that consumer behavior will fundamentally change as a result of this crisis?
I think for the vast majority of people, once they have the certainty of the vaccine, the comfort that they know that they have something which is going to keep them from getting ill with this. And then in addition to that, we have effective treatments. at that point, I do think that there is a fundamental human need to gather, and that people want to get together in these social environments, that people will go back and they'll go to bars. I think they'll go to concerts. I think they'll want to get together in groups. I do think that that will continue over time. I think right now, when you talk to people, there's a lot of concern, there's a lot of anxiety out there. But I think as we get through it, that what we've seen from past issues, past experiences that have come up, that people will return.